So what are MOOCs anyway? Are they some sort of alien life form? Of course not. A MOOC is a massive, open, online course. It is thought by some that MOOCs grew out of the open educational resource movement. The Hewlett Foundation defines open educational resources as the teaching, learning, and research resources that reside in the public domain or have been released under an intellectual property license that permits their free use and repurposing by others. They go on to state that open educational resources include full courses, course materials, modules, textbooks, streaming videos, tests, software, and any other tools, materials, or techniques used to support access to knowledge. The definition of a massive open online course, or MOOC, seems to be a bit more elusive as the concept of MOOCs continues to evolve. By the time a consensus is reached on what a MOOC is and isn't, the massive open online courses may in fact become redefined. This change in definition would seem logical if we take a larger view of the courses being offered in a MOOC and frame them in a bigger picture as the incremental steps of a learning pathway, as an educational major, a course curricula, or any resultant degree obtained from the MOOC process. In the publication, The MOOC Model for Digital Practice, the authors define a MOOC as an online course with the option of free and open registration, a publicly shared curriculum, and open-ended outcomes. What may in fact turn out to be less elusive than trying to find a consensus on the definition of a MOOC might be identifying the characteristics of a MOOC itself. The authors go on to state that MOOCs integrate social networking, accessible online resources, and are facilitated by leading practitioners in the field of study. Most significantly, MOOCs build on the engagement of learners who self-organize their participation according to learning goals, prior knowledge and skills, and common interests. The idea of massive means that it allows access to an extraordinarily large group of participants. It is typically much larger than brick-and-mortar classes and even larger than institutional online course offerings. The course should be able to accommodate a significant change in the number of participants without a substantial interruption in its functionality. The concept and implications of an open course are a little more elusive and may have several interpretations. The first implication of the term open is that the course should be accessible to anyone and should not have a prerequisite requirement that would exclude someone from being able to take the course. Student access to the resources necessary to take the course, such as lectures and videos, should not have a cost associated with them, thus preventing access to the course. This open concept does not necessarily imply that other resources peripheral to the course itself, such as direct access to an instructor, scoring of tests or exams, the awarding of a diploma or certificate, are going to be without cost. Open does imply that the course will not be offered on a closed learning platform. That is to say that the resources should be hosted in various places and on different platforms to increase accessibility. Finally, the concept of open implies that the course will make use of an extensive open content. Thus, the content created by the course should also be open and available so that it will be accessible to others not taking the course. This final interpretation of the open concept is the most debated. Many successful MOOCs are educational companies who are not necessarily interested in openly sharing their course content freely. The concept of online means that the course is offered from a remote location in relationship to the student, typically over the internet. It does not require a physical presence at a brick-and-mortar institution. The course is accessible to anyone, anywhere in the world, at any time, as long as they have an internet connection. In order to be considered a MOOC, it needs to be a complete course offering with all its component parts. Those parts should include lessons, and we can define a lesson as a series of learning activities focused on the presentation of a specific topic. The lessons should be built into modules, and we can define modules as a component of a course that contains several related lessons. And finally, we have our complete course, which we will define as the instructional content that delivers information through a series of related modules, all of which meets a predefined learning objective. So is it a MOOC or is it not a MOOC? By identifying certain characteristics of the course offerings, we may be able to better identify what is a MOOC. First, the course itself should have a learning objective. It should contain activities for students to participate in order to achieve that learning. There should be an allotted amount of time to achieve learning objectives, meaning that it is not an open-ended offering. There should be some assessment measures provided to evaluate the level of knowledge acquired through tests, exams, papers, etc. And there should be an interactional learning experience shared between students and teachers, whether that is peer-to-peer learning or teacher-to-student learning, or both. Using the four aforementioned characteristics will help us to identify when a course qualifies as a MOOC or not. Given the rapidly changing landscape, the conversation may be moot, as MOOCs may very well morph into something entirely different before they are ever able to shape the academic landscape as the next educational paradigm.